so bad.
You didn't leave the resort, did you?
Oh, sure.
Oh, did you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we did touristy things. We went to ruins, the 2.5-hour bus ride.
My brothers went to
Are we expecting anybody else?
I went to the Baja
Are we
500.
expecting anybody else?
It's been, I guess, 2 years ago now. And, you know, they were just like warning them where to stay away from and don't go here, don't go there. And they weren't, you know, they were like, it's Mexico. He goes,
with the bonuses, yes, but there'll be no bonuses.
U.S. citizens don't understand what's going on here. We're having a civil war.
I went through that. I made a mistake on my tax return.
We're killed.
You did, and it resulted in
They are having major problems now.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to open the 766th meeting of the Laurel Historic District Commission. Ms. Pritchard, would you call the roll, please?
Chairwoman Blitz, Mr. McSaney,
Here.
Councilman Les,
Here.
Mr. Cocoon,
Here.
Mr. DiLorenzo, Mr. Dyer,
Here.
Mr. Hayes,
Here.
and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. The qualifications of the members of the commission, the staff of the commission, and any consultants used or on file with the city and are hereby made a part of each and every application heard this evening. The guidelines and procedures adopted by the commission are also made part of each and every application. Each application heard this evening is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. The second item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular HDC meeting held, the last meeting held.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a correction. That should be April 16th, not April 21st.
Okay, and do the minutes reflect the correct date?
I'm sorry.
Do the minutes themselves request, where are the, oh, the minutes are here.
Yes, they do.
They do, okay, so it's just a typo.
Just a typo on the
in
agenda.
agenda.
Here. Yeah.
Okay.
One
Thank
other correction, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so are there, are there any corrections to be made to the minutes?
Just commissioners absent. I was actually here for that meeting. Hand me down as being absent.
Do you have a witness here? All right, thank you very much. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of the minutes as corrected.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and approved. The minutes be approved as with the correction noted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The approval is passed. Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda is HDC 044013, 355 Main Street, submitted by Jeannie Bralier. You know where to sit? Okay, come on up. Okay, and you have a copy of your application?
Yes, I actually
And
brought
what's
everything with me.
And what's described on the application is what you want to do?
Yes, it is. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law actually own the property, and I am the manager for the store for her, so
Okay,
I'm coming in her place and his place this evening.
all right, fine. Would ask the staff, could the staff introduce the topic, please?
Yes. The reason why the applicant's here is the business is changing names, and so they'd like to put up a new sign. The size of the sign is a 2x8, which is the same size as what the Historic Commission previously approved. Well, at least the size dimensions. The colors are mostly red with white and gray, and there's a diagram in your packets. the height of the lettering and the phone numbers meets the guidelines for the height limitations in the historic design guidelines. Staff is recommending favorable approval because it meets the Historic Commission regulations.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Open the floor for comments by commissioners.
Mr. President, I'm
Yes.
sorry, go ahead.
The sign that's up there now, the corners are cut in. Is that the sign that you're going to use?
It probably will get a new sign because when Harrigan's Junk was, when her mother-in-law was running it about a year and a half ago, they've since retired, so we're just taking off their maiden name. The back of the sign was a trophy shop that was before it, so they just flipped it around, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a whole new sign, yeah. Because from inside, it says we're a trophy shop. On the outside, it says secondhand store.
And are you going to make your sign square, or are you going to?
Square, it'll be square.
Okay.
Let me ask if I could. We're trying to maintain some consistency in the signs going up the street.
Or if it has to be round,
Just-
that,
no, just the scallop corners.
okay.
Your sign person will know. I think there's enough room to do that.
Okay, yeah,
If
'cause-
you look at Harrigan's, you'll see that.
Yeah, I
Every
definitely, yeah, I
chance
do
we get,
see
we
that
try
now,
and go ahead and
yeah.
ask them to scallop the corners.
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, definitely, I'll ask them to do that. We thought we would be able to use the backside, but the backside has the previous
used.
store on it, so,
That's recycling.
yes, exactly.
And you're gonna run the business.
I do the
That's your
day-to-day, everything. They own it, they sign all the bills, I do everything else, yes.
Collect the money.
Yes, I do. That I do.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the sign applications presented with the change we suggested, the scallop corners.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and a second to approve the application with one change. Open the floor to comments. I have a comment. Among the things that we do, according to our our guidelines, is we are concerned with the overall visual quality and appeal of the historic district. And looking at this sign and just visioning, especially the 300 block of Main Street, this sign, as far as I'm concerned, seems to kind of yell at you.
Okay,
And it looks, to me, it yells at me, and it's also a very modern sign. And I think if you look at most, probably not all, but most of the signs on Main Street, they are, they're not modern. They're older signs, and that's in keeping with the historic district. And so there was that point I wanted to make. One of our guidelines says that while we allow originality and style while not creating a discontinuity with the rest of the streetscape. And I think this is the sign there. The sign that's there now is not. It doesn't scream at you, and the lettering and everything is more conservative. I guess that's it. So those are my comments. Are there any other comments? All right.
Let me just suggest this. Maybe I'm going to tell you that I like the red. I just bought a piece of property on Main Street for the city, and the idea is to try and attract people to Main Street. So let me just make one suggestion, and maybe if we take the italics on the bottom, where you've got the white, new and gently used items from our family of years, I would get rid of the italics on those letters.
okay. When we had actually not design the sign.
Yeah.
We just knew that our store colors
Yeah.
for our store are going to be red, black, and white.
Well,
So when we had called Sign Pro,
Yeah.
he asked us if we had logos or anything. We didn't. We just let him know what the name of the store was, what we wanted on it, and our colors. So they kind of drew that up for us. So we actually didn't draw that particular sign. We just know that those are the colors that we'd like because that's our colors.
Again, I'm fine with the red. It's an English type of sign. I would just suggest, though, Mr. Chairman, maybe to get rid of the italics on the bottom portion of the sign. Give it a little more upright character, which is a lot of the signs down the street have that upright character. That's my recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments?
Do you amend your,
Pardon?
I'm asking.
Yeah, I'll amend my
Motion.
motion to approve this. And I think that what I heard the applicant say was she's not adverse to that.
No, not at all.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so we have a motion on the floor with two slight modifications to what's been presented. All in favor? Or no, pardon me, will the, Ms. Pritchard, call the roll, please.
Do we have a second?
I will still
Yeah, we have
second
a
it with the
second. Yes, we have a
modification.
second.
Councilman Les?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Mr. Dyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Acting Chairman McSeany?
No.
And the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good luck
And
with your
good luck,
business.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming in. Fourth item on the agenda is HDC 045, 2013 for 27 A Street, submitted by Kevin Lucky. Come up, please. You have a copy of the application.
Yes, sir, I do.
Application reflects what you want to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Robert, would you present the item?
Yes. This property is down at 27A Street, and in the backyard, there is no fences except on the south side, there's a old chain link fence. What the applicant would like to do is remove the chain link fence on the south side and put up brand-new wooden fences in the backyard. The height will be 6 feet, and the gate will be on the side facing A Street. This is consistent with the design guidelines, which states the use of chain link fencing is discouraged and as being least compatible with the historic environment. And the application is bringing it into conformance with the historic guidelines. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
This is one of the most controversial issues we ever have, of people wanting to take down chain link.
I think he's saying thank you.
I've already done it.
All right, great.
I removed it yesterday.
One step ahead of us. Very good.
Got permission.
Does, any commissioners have any comments?
You weren't planning on painting it?
No, sir, no time soon.
Okay.
From my father-in-law recommendation, he said, let it sit. Let the weather do it.
Good.
Looks better.
You're going to build the,
Yeah, with the assistance of my father-in-law.
I had one suggestion, but if you're going to build it, then I don't have a suggestion. Because I don't think you're going to put a sign on it that says, "Built by Mr. Lucky."
No.
All right.
You should.
Get some business. My profession is security, not.
Any other comments?
One question.
Yes, sir.
When you build it, normally you build the finished side towards your neighbors, towards the street, and, is that what you're going to have?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
The finished side.
the finished side
'Cause I
out.
have an alley behind me, and then my neighbors on either side, and I finish side, the post on the inside.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was my only question.
Let me just ask one. Are you going to put a gate into the alley?
No, sir.
Sure you don't want to do that? Would you like us to approve one in case you decide when you start building it? you put in?
No, I don't want a gate
Okay, all right.
Where's trash pickup?
in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Front.
And you've got the gate to the right of the house now?
Yes, on the side of the house.
Okay, real good, okay.
Any other comments? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move approval of HTC 0452013 as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by, and a second. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Les?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Acting Chairman McSeany?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you for taking the chain link down.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, sir.
The fifth item on the agenda is HDC 048-2013, 636 Main Street, submitted by Mr. Gregory Graves. Come on up, please. And you have a copy of the application?
No,
You don't. Have you seen a copy of the application?
no.
Okay. Just take a minute and just, the important thing is under the work description, just read that and make sure that's why you're here.
Yes.
Okay. Robert, would you introduce the topic, please?
Yes. What they would like to do is start a new barber shop business, and the location is across from the red, white, and the red, hot, and blue. It's on the south side of Main Street. Used to be an old law office. And so what they're proposing is to do a window decal sign, and then also put signage in the door. The sizes are going to conform to the zoning code. Their color design, it's white with red decal in it. The lettering sizes adheres to the limitations set by the design guidelines for the primary message and the second, the smaller lettering. So the sizes will meet. Staff is recommending favorable because it conforms.
Is the law office sign going to stay?
Leave it to the applicant. It's not in this application. He's asking on the top there. Did you want to put something on the top?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Sign, barber sign up,
Okay.
say barber shop.
I'm sorry. What-
Sign that says barber shop.
In
Where the
place of the
law
office?
office sign is,
Yes.
I think you got a problem now. I let me speak to the gentleman here. I'm not saying you got a problem.
All right.
What's the square footage allowed there? If you take the square footage on the front of the glass and the door, and then you add this into it?
Well, the application before the historic tonight is just for what's shown in the pictures. So right now, it's the CV zone has a 1-to-1 match.
Right.
So there's about 22, 25 feet of building frontage facing
Right.
Main Street. So he's got about 25 square feet total to work with.
For everything on the store, on the frontage of this property, plus whatever goes in the fascia.
Well, the fascias, again, is not before us
I
today.
understand that.
But
Okay.
Mr. Les, what I can do is review that with the new
I just want him-
information.
I want the applicant to understand that's a separate issue,
Yes,
okay? Okay.
I understand.
And I'll
I
check
don't
the,
want you to have any surprises. I mean, there's a square footage limitation. We just need to understand that.
Okay.
and also, Mr. Les, what I want to check for is, in the zone, we have the limitations based upon building frontage.
Right,
But for a building with identification marks on the top,
yep.
I can see if that falls, if there's another sign category on that. But
Okay.
yes, thank you for letting the applicant be aware. There
I
might
just
be
don't
a
want the
problem.
applicant to have any surprise, down the road
Yes.
somewhere. Okay.
I'll work on that.
Any other questions? Robert, I've forgotten, maybe it's not in our guidelines, but we have somewhere, don't we have is it a 20% with a percentage of that the window can be covered? Is it 20%?
Yeah, it's a maximum of 20% window coverage without any city permit like any city review. There's no permit that an applicant has to have in order to get to cover 20% of the window. But if he wants to cover more than that, he has to come through with the Historic Commission approval and then the city sign permit process.
Okay, and this sign is within the 20%? Probably not.
No, it exceeds 20%, but this size sign is falling underneath the wall sign, what he's allowed to have as a wall sign. Because most of his wall is the glass. So I guess what I'm saying is he has to come to the historic and the city of Laurel for 2 separate permits for a wall sign, and that's what he's come for you today. But businesses throughout the city are allowed to cover up to 20% of the window sign without obtaining any permit.
So this will go, the city will look at this for the 20%.
No, no, they won't.
Yeah, we're reviewing this, well, the city will review this as a wall sign.
As a wall sign. Okay. And in this case, because the wall is primarily glass and doors, that's all considered in the square footage, is that correct, if I remember correctly? It's not just the brick, but it's also the glass, because it's all part of the wall, is that correct? When you're looking at the 20% rule?
Well, the 20% rule is the 20% of the glass area
Okay?
that doesn't need a city sign permit. So, yeah, it would be just the glass
So you
area.
got 2
not the-
doors plus the window, which is the glass area,
Right.
if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And the numbers don't count into the 20%,
Right, because he's seeking approval for a wall.
right? Just
Wall
understand.
sign.
Okay, all right.
The what doesn't count?
The numbers.
Oh,
The
yeah,
numbers
yeah,
happen,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
numbers happen to be on the door in this
Yeah, yeah,
building.
yeah,
They might, some places they'll be actually in the frame, they'll be above the door, they'll be on the brickwork, but in this one, they're actually.
Oh.
So what you're talking about is you're talking about just the rectangle of the 2 proposed areas where the sign's going.
Any other comments? I have one other comment. Yeah, I guess you heard when I spoke with respect to the young lady who was here with the other sign down in the 300 block.
Yes.
Your sign doesn't yell at me as hers did, but it's a very modern sign, and you know, I just raised the question of how well does it fit in. While Patuxent Place is not an old building, it is a building that is certainly compatible with the historic district. It was built that way some, 30 years ago?
That's correct.
And I think if you know, I didn't drive by it tonight, but I think if you look around at most of the signs in Patuxent Place, most of them most of them don't look modern. Would you consider doing something so it wouldn't stand out and look so modern? I guess that's true.
Absolutely.
Pardon me?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't know what to suggest. I don't have a suggestion for you. Having said all that,
A different font might
a different
suffice.
font might, yeah.
Different typeface, you know, it's,
I presume you'd like to get this thing done as quickly as you can. If you're opening a barber shop, you want people to come in
Yes.
tomorrow. What's there right now?
The law office is still there. That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
So nobody knows you're there until you put a sign up.
Right.
And who's doing your signs?
Santa Rama.
Sonorama.
Yes.
They've done a lot of signs in the historic district.
Yes.
Somebody needs to help me out.
well, I think the graphics on it are fine, you know,
Okay.
with the scissors and that. You know, I think that Mr. McSaney is talking mainly about the font of the name.
Yes.
So if you get something that is maybe not italicized, or maybe more of a like an old English font or a Times Roman or something like that, that has serifs usually with it, usually indicate sort of an older thing. And Sinorama should be able to help you out with that.
Okay.
In terms of what they have in their cadre of fonts.
Yeah, they've done quite a bit of work up at Patuxent Place with the signs and all, so.
Are you ready to open right now? Not quite.
I'm looking at June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Yes.
Let me make a suggestion, a couple things. I agree with what was just suggested. There's two issues here. First of all, there's this issue. Let me come back to the overhead sign that says law office, okay? I want to just say this. If you notice, almost all those signs in Patuxent Place are pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
They're, this with scallop corners, and the lettering on that tends to be more or less the same. Not all of them, but most of them. Coming back to this, I don't have any trouble with the italics on the main part of the sign, but I think the font, what'd you say, serif? There's a couple of other fonts that Signorama would know. So, Mr. President, I would suggest, since the gentleman wants to open up pretty quick, as opposed to having, putting him off till June, which our next meeting is, that we would ask him to get a proposal from Signorama, and then if he could send that to everybody and let them look at it and just respond back to Sonny, yes, I'm in favor of that. Is that acceptable?
I like the idea. I'm not sure it's acceptable. I mean, I've been exposed recently to meetings where you make a decision and you really can't have a meeting by email, for example.
Not asking. We're going to make a decision here tonight. That's what I'm suggesting, except for the font.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what I'm saying is that the font would be
Acceptable. Okay.
acceptable to the 5 members sitting up on this
Okay.
historic district commission.
Okay.
And Sonny would send that and say,
Yeah.
are you in favor, yes or no? That's all, as simple as
Okay.
that. So if we get yes,
Yes.
we get at
Okay.
least,
Right, there's not going to be any debate.
No,
There's
no,
debate
no,
on
no,
it.
no.
Either you agree, it's acceptable to you, or it's not acceptable to you.
what I heard was, and I like I guess that's supposed to be hair with the scissors cutting it. I don't know. I haven't got much hair left. But again, I think we're just talking about the main part of the sign and a little different lettering.
Right.
And they'll know when you speak to them. I'm going to make a motion subject to that, what I just said.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the sign as submitted with the exception of the font for precise cuts, both on the main part of the main window plus the door. And the applicant will then work with Signorama. They'll come back to the city, and Sonny, I'll ask you to send that to all 5 members that are present tonight, asking if it meets with their approval, so they can get the sign up and get open. That's my proposal, Mr. President.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Dyer has seconded, Councilman Les has made a motion. Are there any other comments? Would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Les?
Yes.
Mr. Dyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. McSaney?
Yes,
And the motion carries.
thank you very much. I think we'll all think you'll have a better sign.
Good luck to
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Good luck in your business.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Do you give a discount for no hair?
There's a surcharge for that, isn't there?
You too.
All right, we have a couple of staff approvals. Anybody have any comments with respect to the staff approvals? Going once, going twice. New business. With respect to new business, we're still trying to get our meeting together for a review of the inventory. I circulated, since the last meeting, I circulated a couple of things. I got to remember what they were now. One was some help in defining the term contributing and non-contributing.
Right.
Hope everybody got that.
That was very
That
good.
Make sense to everybody?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay. The other kind of open question with respect to, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the details of the discussion, is the period of significance. You were going to try to do some research on that.
Well, I have researched and have so much paperwork, I just didn't even get it together. Also found your inventory. I have a stack of significances defined probably on about 8 pages of information I have from the National Historic Society,
Yeah, okay.
whatever. And I also have the inventory, the way they use the counting, the 1 through 5,
Yeah,
and the
the
definitions.
original scoring.
I'm gonna, I probably have to send it to you or get somebody to scan it for me and I'll send it to you. And the inventory sheet that they originally used, and I said I would do that for you also. I have a original list of 18 properties that you had talked about. So I'll get all that together. I mean, I have it. There's a stack of information like this back at my desk. And it's just a matter of what kind of meeting and when and.
Okay. Well, okay. So, we'll have at least information with respect to whether a property is contributing or not. The other question, as I mentioned, is period of significance. And I've thought about this, and I'm just going to throw it out, and people can comment now or comment later or whatever. But it kind of seems to me like the period of significance for what we traditionally call Old Town is probably around 1840 to and either 1930, 1940, somewhere along in there. That's when the majority of the first houses, or I'm trying to eliminate replacement houses. When houses were built here, I think the building of Old Town probably was within that 100-year period, 1840 to 1940. So I'd like people to think about that as a possibility of a period of significance that we use. It's not a hard and fast guideline that that for a house to be contributing, it has to be built in that time. But it gives us some guidance for when a house is way out of that and doesn't otherwise contribute to the neighborhood. It gives us a better yardstick on whether or not it's contributing or not. And
there are numerous definitions on that, and then when you continue to read, it starts to get contradictory with altered compared to not altered homes, and
right.
And then I read in the Historic Trust the homes that haven't made it to the register, but they are in an inventory through the National Historic Trust of homes in Laurel that are in the right period,
Yeah,
but
they're
they
eligible,
don't qualify.
They're eligible for those properties are eligible for National Register, but they just haven't been added to the National Register.
But then the contradiction to that are the ones that you would assume are eligible, and they'll say not eligible through the National Historic Trust on their inventory that was done before. So, but I'll just throw that information together. I have it. I've put some in notebooks for you, and
Okay.
and then you decide from that point.
Okay.
For instance, Ivy Hill Cemetery, according to the National Historic Trust, there was a major inventory done on it through them,
Yes.
but they don't recommend that it's eligible.
Okay.
And the Cronmiller House and some of the ones that I would Masonic Hall, the Masonic Lodge is another one that you would just assume. So it's surprising when you start reading that.
Yes, it is. All right. So I have two other statements or observations. One is. Has anybody located Mr. Dyer's contribution to his review of whatever he reviewed?
I haven't. I found like 12 copies of your corrections after you sent me the one copy. So when I first received that, I must have made extra copies of it. So I have that, but I don't have.
The last I heard, it went to Cliff.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And
Now,
then he was going to
we have to
call
look
me
in
and
the
we were going to
bookcase
go
in
through
there.
the computer, and that never happened. And we were going to take all my scratchings and
With the
put 'em-
table of contents, and I mean, I can picture
Well,
you
it
coming
had a
in.
summary. What I try to do is I try to take, there were bits and pieces all over the document of how it was designed for each individual, what are there, 6, how many districts within the historic districts? but they were scattered all over the place. So what I try to do is to consolidate each one of those and then write a summary. But the summary was really a rewording of much of the text that was already incorporated. Then I put together a pagination and table of contents, and then another kind of executive summary at the very beginning. But, you know,
I'm
Cliff,
sure-
Cliff is the last person
I didn't look in the room. I didn't look through his bookcases. I even forgot that part, if you want to know the truth, because I didn't go into that office and start looking around. But I just wrote down bookcase, so I'll check it.
Okay, from what you say, Mike, I'm pretty sure now that the part that you wrote about was in the first, let's call it part 1 of the inventory as opposed to part 2, which
Yes.
is your district.
Exactly.
So as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, none of us has reviewed part 2 and given any comments to anybody. Is that correct?
That's correct from my perspective, anyway.
Okay. Were you here when we did both that? You weren't even here.
No.
God, it's sickening. And the last thing, I'll come back to that in a second. And the last thing is that I think that we need, when we go and start working on this, despite the city's lack of enthusiasm about it, I think we need to have our consultant, I can't even remember her name at the moment. I think that she ought to be at the meeting because she brings some knowledge will bring knowledge to the table that we do not have. Anybody have an?
And the money's
I'll carry
the
the
money's
word.
in the budget, Mr. President.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Money's in the budget.
Excellent. Yeah.
Sonny, I'm sure Sonny will talk to Marty Fleming about that.
Okay.
Marty Fleming.
All right. You know, it's been a long time, and we really do need to get it going. Can we make a tentative decision to have it? We used to have the meetings on the first and third, or first and third.
First and third Tuesdays.
What about a proposal that we start tackling this in the first Tuesday of July?
We have to take that to Marty to asking, because that came up once before, and I think a memo came out about there could be one meeting to discuss whatever. So let me talk to Marty about that.
Just make sure it doesn't conflict with 4th of July.
Well, I mean, my recollection is that while our, whatever was changed to require one meeting a month, the Marty was amenable to letting us continue to have 2 meetings if it were necessary. And I don't think that we're going to be able to work on this inventory project at the same time we're approving applications. Not to say that we can't have an application. If somebody's in a hurry and we're going to meet on July the whatever, I wouldn't object to having something else on the agenda. But we don't want to have an agenda full of other things while we do this.
That would be July 2nd, by the way.
That would be July 2nd. That's not a Sunday.
It's not a Sunday.
Excellent. April 16th was a Sunday.
No, 21st was a Sunday.
21st was a Sunday.
16th was
I'm
a
sorry.
weekday.
Right. Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, let me just, let me caution us about this period of significance.
Okay.
I'm reminded that during a 4th of July parade, Senator Mikulski commented to a homeowner, "Boy, you did a nice job renovating that house." And the house she happened to be talking about was Groman's house, which was built in 1988. All I'm suggesting is we need to be real careful about, and I know we need to sort of define this, but there's other houses that fall out either before or after that period
Yeah.
that are in fact significant to the historic district. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And that, of course, that's the house to the left of Ballinger's, the one that Larry and I built. We made the
You have
prop-
an interest in that property?
I built it. I designed it.
Bill
I know.
Gorman, right?
I know.
Bill Gorman?
Yeah, I designed it.
Yeah.
And she commented, it made Bill Groman's day.
I bet it did.
she said, boy, what a beautiful renovation. We paid a lot of money for the house because it was very expensive to build on that lot. We need to be real careful. I mean, I would say, and I'm going to say this, that I think at this point in time, Patuxent Place becomes a part of, it's significant for the historic district.
Okay, I don't take
That's all
issue
I'm
with
saying,
those
'cause
things.
it anchors the end of that
does.
street.
You're
It
right.
does, I agree with you.
Okay?
Even
We just need to
Revere.
Huh?
Even Revere. I would say that's
Well,
a significant building.
Revere Bank and the old Citizens National Bank, they're what I call 100-year buildings. They spent a lot of money to build them, and they'll probably be there 100 years from now. They'll become significant with their 100
Yeah,
years.
no,
Well, you just need to be careful.
just because a building isn't built in the period of significance doesn't dictate whether it's contributing or not.
Oh, yeah, that's why I
Right.
just want to make
Correct.
sure that
Yeah.
we're sort of all on the same
Yeah,
wavelength.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, good, okay. I have one other thing. I'll tell you, you all heard the sports authority's coming to the,
Yes,
the
the new town center.
World Center.
Yeah.
And they will
the
probably,
sport, the one in,
the one we're building.
oh, the
Where the
Sports
mall used to
Authority.
be.
Sports Authority's
Yes,
the next
correct.
large tenant. And I think, are they in Las Vegas this week? I think they're in didn't they say they were gonna go to Las Vegas this week or next week?
I thought it was last week
The
where they
last-
had the convention with
Yeah.
all of
Yeah,
the.
It's what's called retail.
Right.
Yeah, I heard.
Whatever it is, and that's where they ink deals.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll probably be hearing some more about some more tenants. And of course, they got 3 liquor licenses or 4 liquor licenses for the property?
Is that for restaurants?
Yes, that was very important. Laurel got that for that shopping center, and then we got, of course, Main Street. We straightened that mess out.
Oh, good.
And actually, Greenbelt, I think, has got the same, they had something passed for their jurisdiction. We're all suffering from the same problem.
So does that mean Salute gets a liquor
Yeah.
license?
Well,
As
it
of
means
July
they're,
1.
means they have got,
As of July 1, they can apply for their liquor
yeah, but I
license.
don't, yeah, it's questionable whether or not they will apply for it.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, they-
well, they're Muslims.
Well, they are also doing business.
Okay, I was in, what's the high-end gadget store in Columbia?
Brookstone.
Brookstone. I was in Brookstone because I had some time to kill, and I walked in there, and what's his name from Salute was in there. What's his
The
last-
owner?
Yeah, what's his last name?
I can never remember.
Whatever. He was in there with his young son, and they were walking around looking at stuff, and I was walking around looking at stuff, and a saleswoman grabbed him and took him to a place, and she demonstrated a project for him. And I stood by and watched the demonstration, and I said, "Lady," I said, "you're talking to the wrong guy." I said, she was demonstrating a gadget that you would put into the top of a red wine bottle, and it would blow bubbles through it, so
Aerates it.
it would aerate it, so you didn't have to let it rest.
Right,
above it.
right.
And I said, here you are, trying to get this guy to buy something for a bottle of wine, and he's a Muslim and doesn't drink. He got a pretty good kick out of that. Anybody else? Can we go home?
It's up to you.
Motion to adjourn.
Excellent. Don, thank you very much. Okay, Sonny, talk to Marty and see if there's a roadblock or there's